us today, put your name in the chat so we can give you a shout out and make sure that we welcome you properly. Today, we have our very own Vance Wyatt, who's going to be not just hosting this meeting, but also telling us more about the wonderful work that he's doing. We have Miss LaToya Greenwood, who's going to be talking to us a little bit about the work that she's doing. Alonzo, I believe his name is Wahid. I apologize if I messed it up, with Equity, Illinois, who's going to be tremendously educating us on all the work that he's doing. Of course, we have JD Dixon, who is an activist and an organizer, and is going to talk to us a little bit about the work that he's doing. So we have a very jam-packed call. We hope you stay with us. Let's see who's in the chat. We got Mike from Chicago. Do you move, Mike? I feel like you were used to call in from a different area. We got Adam Broad, of course, from Lake County. Was that you, Mike? Were you going to say something?
Yeah, I did move from Frankfurt to Lincoln Square.
Welcome to the city of big shoulders, brother. I'm excited to have you here as one of our brethren. JD Dixon, welcome. How are you doing today, man?
And there it is. I'm doing good. How you doing? Thank you. I appreciate being on the panel, here to talk to the people and here to, let everybody know what's going on with this progressive movement that we have going, and everybody coming together for systemic change.
That's right. That's right. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us tonight. Who else do we got on this call? Let's see. Anybody else in the chat? Don't be shy. We'll give you a shout out. Alonzo Wahid, how are you, brother? Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm ready to get in here and get it done. I think everybody should know what we're doing so they can become a part of it.
That's right. Thank you for joining us tonight. We got a powerful conversation tonight. And of course, we're celebrating, Juneteenth, which I believe should be a holiday, federal, state. So we need to have that day off. City colleges where I work is giving me a half day. I believe they should give us a full day. So make sure that we continue pushing for that as well, because it needs to be recognized. For many years, it's been ignored, and finally it's getting its due justice. Allison, how are you? Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks. Wonderful. Hi, everyone.
How's everything out in the burbs?
Pretty good.
Nice. Thank you for joining us today, virtually. If it was in person, it'd be a long drive. How are you doing, Georgia?
Hey, we're rocking and rolling downstate, down here.
Are you guys dying of humidity over there?
No, man, it's been beautiful, nice and cool, overcast, full moons, canoeing down the rivers, been pretty.
Wonderful. That's great. So again, we're about to get started. So if you're dialing in, get ready, hold on to your seats, because we got a tremendous program tonight. And we're going to know why when we organize, we win, right? It's important that we're out there pushing our revolution, educating our members, talking to the communities, eventually one day door knocking or Zoom calling or phone calling or text messaging, everything to get into your door, into your ears, so you realize that our revolution is not going anywhere. We have a lot of victories that are coming up. Of course, with the state of Illinois redistricting, we're going to have a lot of play in these races, and we need every member here in our revolution to continue pushing the agenda so that we continue winning for progressive politics in the state of Illinois. So with that, with further ado, I am going to introduce our brother in arms, one person that has done tremendous amount of work in the suburbs, but also is leading in our revolution board, and that is the co-chair for tonight's meeting, the host, for tonight's meeting as well. That's Vance Wyatt. Take it away, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Good evening and welcome to Our Revolution Illinois, Organizing to Win call. My name is Vance Wyatt. I'm the treasurer of the city of North Chicago, and I
Vance, you're on mute.
I was saying everything really good, so of course. Again, my name is Vance Wyatt. I'm the treasurer of the city of North Chicago, and I'm a board member for Our Revolution Illinois, Lake County, I should say, and also a board member for Black Lives Matter Lake County. And I will be your co-host for tonight's call. Tonight we'll be celebrating the upcoming celebration of Juneteenth. For those of you who do not know what Juneteenth is, it is the holiday that it celebrates the Freedom Day, or the release of all of the slaves here in the United States of America. Before we get to that, I'd like to turn it over to Mike Rita, who will give us a quick update on the work that our revolution is doing across the country.
Thanks for that, Vance. I appreciate the introduction. Our revolution was founded by Bernie Sanders, and today we are America's leading grassroots funded progressive organization. And our mission is simple. We are building a national network of groups to do the following of our 5-point plan. Organize progressive powerhouses, to hold politicians accountable to our progressive agenda, to elect progressive champions to office, to fight for progressive policies, and to transform the Democratic Party into a progressive party. That is our theory of change, and that is our mission. In order to grow our movement and in order to win, we need to lead with vision and to lean into that mission. And this summer is our last best shot to win on our progressive priorities in Washington, D.C. And that's why we're organizing with our Inside Strategy. I want to give a shout out to Christine Bright of the Will County Progressives, who is recently made the vice chair of the Will County Progressives. She was the first person in our movement to spot this segment on CNN that covered our warning to the Democratic Party. We need them to deliver concrete and progressive results for the American people, just like they said they would during the 2020 election, or else. And what are those concrete progressive results that our movement is fighting for and that the American people want? Number one, that our members said their demands are voting rights, protecting people's right to vote. Number two is healthcare. Number three, climate change. Number four, taxing the rich. And of course, number five, a $15 minimum wage and a union. That is what our members said during a recent survey. And we also have some elections tonight in Virginia and Riverside, California, that we are hoping for some good results. But on Saturday, we had major victories in Texas. We had a whole slate of candidates that won their elections. Can you go to the next slide, Abe, so I can read those names? There we go. We had Jalen McKee Rodriguez, Terry Castillo, and John Courage, who we all endorsed and won their elections. We also had Adam Bazaludua and Jesse Moreno, who won in Dallas, Texas. We also flipped the Fort Worth City Council to Democratic control and elected some great candidates in San Antonio. Also in Ohio, we are continuing to support Nina Turner's run for Congress. The election is on August 3rd. And in New York, we are working hard to elect a slate of true progressives in the municipal elections, including Maya Wiley for New York City mayor, who we recently endorsed. Also in New York State, the state legislature has a historic opportunity to pass the New York Health Act, which would begin implementing a Medicare for all healthcare system in the state of New York. And I'm going to turn it over to Georgia, who's going to tell you exactly why we need your help to continue the work that we're doing. Take it away, Georgia.
Thank you so much, Mike. As you all know, most of our organization is made up of, thousands of volunteers. And all this work that you're hearing about is why we need your continued support. We're kicking off our 2021 Movement Builder Membership Drive. We're asking our supporters to become monthly donors in order to continue to grow our organization. And we have 2022 right around the corner. In return, you will receive your very own 2021 Movement Builder membership card designed by artist and our Revolution member, Lauren Rawley. So tonight, we are asking you all to join us, help us grow this movement, be a part of the revolution, and take the next step to support the progressive movement and donate $10 monthly today. You'll receive your very own 2021 Movement Builder membership card. It's kind of beautiful. You can see it there on the screen. There's a link in chat going in. Hit it, donate, become a member. Thank you, Mike, so much. And Vance, this is going to be to you next.
Thanks for that update, Georgia, and also Mike. As a reminder, if you have any questions for our guest tonight, please press *3 on your phone. On Zoom, put your questions in the QA, and on Facebook, drop it in the comments section. Our first guest tonight is State Representative from Illinois' 114th District, LaToya Greenwood. Welcome, Representative Greenwood. First, we would like.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry. First, we would like to congratulate you on your recent appointment by Illinois House Speaker Chris Welch as Majority Conference Chairperson for the 102nd General Assembly.
Thank you and good evening. Thank you so much.
Representative Greenwood, let's talk about your Freedom School. Could you talk about the history and also the need to the revival of this idea, especially post-COVID?
So as we all know, COVID really revealed something that to many of us that live in Black and Brown communities, the disparities that we had in so many areas, and education was one. And as a member of our Black Caucus, Joint Black Caucus, under the leadership of Senator Leader Lightford, and members of course, the House Black Caucus, we got together and did some reforms in areas of that included education, healthcare, criminal justice reform, and economic opportunity. And one of the ideas that were, or initiatives that was included in our education reform bill included freedom schools. Well, here in the 114th district in East St. Louis, at Dunbar Elementary School, we were lucky to be a part of a pilot program. And so our school district, our local school district, has this program currently operating at Dunbar Elementary School under Principal Carlinda Coleman. And I spoke to her about the program. I'm looking forward to going out because the school district has extended their school year. They were able to start the programming in May. And so she talked to me about how the children were learning Black history and understanding history and culture. It's incorporated into the curriculum during this Freedom School time, and how they have guest speakers that come in and talk about Black history. So it's a reinforcement for us about the history, one, of our community, East St. Louis, which has produced many, many historic Black Americans from our community, and two, just to instill in them about being Black and what that means in this day and time.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Representative, speaking of COVID, how has the healthcare accessibility in your community, and how do you see new ideas on the table to improve not only as access, but availability of healthcare?
Yes, thank you. So I am chair of the Healthcare Access and Availability Committee in the House. And we have seen just, it's almost heartbreaking, the total disparity from seniors to pregnant women, the whole maternal mortality issue that we have worked on. We also addressed that in the Black Caucus healthcare pillar. I was able to incorporate doula language. So to have access to doulas for pregnant moms that are on Medicare, Medicaid, and also to incorporate implicit bias language so that the people that are treating us and providing us with care, that they're able to receive training on how to, and it's a shame that we have to say, but how to just kind of have compassion for the people that they are actually treating. I know for me, when you go into the office, sometimes it's based on the treatment you get is based on your insurance, it's based on the color of your skin, it's based on what they perceive you to be when you walk in doctor's offices or in the hospital, and it just should not be that way. And so those are some of the things that we are continuing to work on in terms of access and availability.
Thank you, sir. There's much infrastructure work planned for Illinois with the passage of the new state budget. What community economic opportunities do you see for communities like East St. Louis, who have been historically overlooked in the state budget over the past few years?
So here in East St. Louis, we have a new mayor and some Mayor Eastern, and he is really partnering with different community partners locally and from around the state. And so what I have suggested to Governor Pritzker and to my Speaker Welch, is to make East St. Louis a pilot project as to how you can invest in a community and turn it around. I don't know if all of you are familiar, but in the 114th district, I represent, Centerville now has merged with Cahokia Heights. But at one time I was representing Centerville and East St. Louis, and we border Brooklyn. And those are three communities that are listed as some of the poorest communities in the top 10 cities in our state. And so we really have a unique situation in the 114th district. And what we do know is that when you provide resources and options for people, resources and options and opportunities, then you will see a change in what is going on in your community. And I'm a strong believer that when we lift up the least of those amongst us, then we lift up everybody else. It just happens like that. And so if we continue to ignore people, if we continue to treat people inhumane, we'll continue to get the same results that we have been getting. So that's part of the thing. If you look at some of my legislation this session, it was about appropriations, because I do believe that we need to invest a high dollar amount in communities of color around the state.
Absolutely do. And we so appreciate your time, and we look forward to having you back and with us in the future. So we want to say thank you again.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
As a reminder, you can put your questions for our speakers in the QA section. If you're watching on Facebook, drop them in the chat. If you're calling in, press *3 and submit a question, or to sign up to volunteer or donate. The link is in the chat box. Our second guest is Alonzo Wahid, an organizer with Equity and Transformation, as well as Gatekeepers and Black Lives Matter Joliet. Welcome, Alonzo.
Thank you for just allowing me to be here today.
Thank you, absolutely, Brent. Thank you for coming. Alonzo, can you tell us more about your organization, Equity and Transformation, and the work that you've been doing across Illinois?
So Equity and Transformation strives to uplift and empower individuals that's operating in the informal community. And with that, we're looking to build equity for all Black Chicagoans. And right now we're looking at a statewide movement. And then also we're looking at national movement to do the same thing.
Can you tell us a little bit about why this work is important to you personally?
The work is important to me personally because one of the things that always stick out to me when I have to speak on different panels, do interviews, is individuals are shocked by what they find out is the informal community. They say, what is that, right? The informal community is the individuals that have been forced out of the formal community. So now they have no living, they're not making a living wage. Without them not making a living wage, you're now opening them up to all of the vices, the isms that we're always talking about. So that is what made me so passionate about this, because what individuals don't realize is that we have over when you look at the criminal justice system alone, we have 3.3 million individuals that has been arrested and or convicted for some type of crime since 1979. So when you're looking at numbers like that, and individuals are trying to return back into society, but then they're faced with collateral consequences or permanent punishments. What are these individuals going to do to survive? So now they're moving away from living to survivability. And then what happened is legislation is passed to now criminalize these individuals just for surviving. And when we look at these issues, such as when we talk about Eric Gardner, who was killed because of what? Selling CDs. You see what I'm saying? Selling cigarettes, right? So because there's individuals out there just trying to survive because they were pushed out of the formal economy, not saying that they don't want to work, saying that barriers are placed there so that they can't work. So then they was forced to find a way to survive. Then you criminalize these individuals, all right? And then once you criminalize them, you're able to demonize them. And what we saw happen so many times after that is that then you're able to kill them, and it goes without saying that there's no response. So we're looking to change that, and that's why we created this organization, so that we'll be able to do that. And as of yet, we've been very successful in the work that we've been doing.
That sounds great. What do you see as the number one priority that needs to be addressed, and what is your ideal solution?
The number one priority, I believe, needs to be addressed is dealing with the whole man. There's so often you have so many piecemeal options put out there saying that we need to deal with the homelessness. We need to deal with the poverty. We need to deal with the lack of education. We need to deal with healthcare. But the whole thing is, when are we going to finally address the fact that we need to deal with the whole man? We need to deal with the whole man and the harm that was caused to that man. We need to be able to build that individual up to restore him back to his rightful state. Right now, we're dealing with just right off back, just identity crisis, where individuals don't even understand right now what it means to be a man. All right. And I believe that once that is dealt with, we're able to start addressing a lot of these issues that so often plague us and plague our communities.
And how did the George Floyd protest movement over the past summer change the political landscape here in Illinois?
So for me, that question right there, that's very personal to me, and it touches me in so many different ways. Not only being a Black man and seeing myself easily being able to be in that position. The thing is, right now today, I'm still able to be in that position. What we don't talk about is after the murder of George Floyd, we had 225 individuals that were killed by police officers since then. Right. So when we talk about what has changed, so some of the things that we did was we was able to get the BREATHE Act passed, and the BREATHE Act for Illinois is HB 3653. All right, where we took the BREATHE Act, and that bill is informed by the work that we've done, and that ends the use of money bond in 2025. It also changes the rules of prison gerrymandering, and a host of other early release mechanisms. And why this is so important is because it's not just you got to realize why individuals are constantly being arrested. Just earlier, before we started, individuals were talking about how it was a female weighing 120 pounds, right? And they sent law enforcement there as though they was dealing with the army. The fact is, when you're an individual of color, they deal with you differently. And there was that, and with that being said, there was laws and policies created to keep us in bondage. All right. They don't respect our lives. All right. So we've had a lot of wins, but I think that there's so much work that needs to be done. One of the things that we're doing right now with the movement for Black Lives is we're looking and calling on President Biden to now restore individuals back for the harm that has been caused. One, address the harm that has been caused by legislation that he helped to implement. And then, even though he can definitely argue the fact that he's in an executive office now, he can help to push and establish legislation that can help to heal those harms that was caused. When we start talking about Black families that has been disrupted because of that legislation that was passed, lives that could never be getting back, I think that it's appalling that individuals will stand out as though so much work is being done, not realizing that the harm has never truly been addressed.
Sure. Can you talk about the difference, it says that you're an organizer, the difference between an activist, an advocate, and an organizer? What's the main difference between all of them? Because sometimes they get, conflated all as one.
Yeah. So, and so you have to look at it when you're an advocate or when you're advocating, it is to speak and to learn about social or political issues. And it is to bring attention to that injustice. Whether, and most likely you'll be aiding an activist in the fight against that injustice. Whereas an activist, right, you're actually acting on behalf of solving the social and political issues. And most often, the biggest issue is that you can easily tell because these individuals are at the forefront of the movement and they're usually compromising their own energies in order to seek justice or evoke change. These are individuals that's putting themselves 9 times out of 10 in harm's way to rectify injustice. And then you have the organizer, right, that brings it all together and organizes how that should get done. So for me, in simplest terms, you have the organizer as the brain, you have the advocate as the mouth, which speaks from the heart, and then you have the activist, which is the body. And all of them actually work together to get the goals accomplished.
Thank you, Alonzo. We appreciate you coming here, and all the work that you've done within the state and then within your community as a whole. As a reminder, put your questions for the speakers in the Q&A section if you're on Zoom. If you're watching via Facebook, drop them down in the chat. If you're calling in, press *3 to submit a question or to sign up and volunteer. We're going to move on to our next guest, who is JD Dixon. JD is a core team member of Our Revolution Downstate and the founder of Empire 13, an East St. Louis Clean City Coalition, and former candidate for mayor of Belleville. Hello, JD.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Vance, how you doing?
Welcome. It's good to have you. JD, how's your campaign going and boots to the streets with your organization, Empire 13 going?
Yeah, again, thank you for having me on tonight. I really appreciate the invite. Thank you for allowing me the time to speak and to be a part of this movement and just get the message out there. So yeah, Empire 13 and our Boots to the Streets campaign, we have been advocating, working in East St. Louis and predominantly Black communities in the Metro East, East St. Louis, Edgemont, Washington Park. And we've been using cleanups and demonstrations to address the disparities that Black communities face. When you're here in the Metro East and you drive from East St. Louis up to Belleville or Fairview Heights, you instantly see the difference between the treatments, the resources allocated between the two cities. And you come down, of course, to the Black communities, the spot hole renting, trash field, and lots of abandoned, burned down houses. And of course, the predominantly white communities as in Belleville, Fairview Heights, manicure lines, no trash, regular cleanup crews. So we've been using these demonstrations and the cleanups to address those issues. We're using the cleanups, of course, to bring beautification to the city, to put boots to the streets, to show that the community, to show us as a people in the community that we care about our community. It's time for federal, state to show they care too, to change the biasness of legislation enforcement towards the Black community, and to really get a ground and a foothold in helping the Black community raise back to the stature that it should be, to the same level as every community in this nation and in this country. So we've been using that, been pushing for that. And our Boost to the Streets campaign has been a growing movement, and it's been a great move. We've been able to reach out to multiple organizations across the Metro East and even across the state. And it's been bringing organizations where we've been working towards the same goals, but now we're all synergizing and working together towards systemic change. And that goes from even working with the local government to what Rep. LaToya Greenwood stated earlier, Mayor Robert Eastern. He's been out there with us. He's came to cleanups. He showed backing with us. So it's a great change. What's happening right now. and the camaraderie of everybody working together for systemic change, which I think is the true difference from now to what was going on in the past. There's a stronger movement. There's more people involved, and from that, we've been making headway, and we've been doing a lot of good work. So I'm really excited about the future.
That's great. And it sounds, congratulations on all the work that you've done. An important part of your work is in the East St. Louis community is focused on environmental racism. Currently, there is legislation on the viola burning PFAS, firefighting foam, which has a high content of mercury. There are many other issues on the Monsanto Road there. How did this fight lead you toward organizing the Phoenix program? And could you talk about your goals in that capacity?
So Empire 13, we started off not on cleanups, not necessarily fighting strictly for environmental justice. We're a protest group, grassroots. We protest for racial, social, and economic justice reform. But our first cleanup came from me discovering about the PFAs that were being burned by Veolia and Montecito right outside of the city of East St. Louis, which is, of course, predominantly Black community. And these biohazardous chemicals was adversely affecting the community. It was causing asthma issues, it was causing cognitive development issues. And because of that, of course, it brought down the community and affected the educational system and affected the community as a whole. Systemic environmental racism goes deeper than just, what you see, deeper than just the trash, deeper than just the burned down houses. It affects the educational system as well. So the Phoenix project that we created addresses a specific aspect of education, which is the financial side, which is financial education of learning investments, learning how to build nest eggs, starting businesses from LLCs, sole proprietorships, partnerships, learning about CD accounts, and as well as environmental justice, and putting back into the community instead of taking these skills outside of the Black community, learning to build in the Black community and rebuilding that infrastructure. And I feel that financial education of building a nest egg, building retirement plans, and really building equity inside the community, that's a way to rebuild us up and build us back up, which is what the Phoenix Project is aiming to do.
That sounds great. JD, can you talk about, this is a question that someone had dropped in one of the chats. Can you talk about the racism that you face in your workplace and how has that inspired you to organize Empire 13?
Oh, yes. So Empire 13 actually started from fighting racial discrimination at my former job that I was working at. Me, along with 12 other employees, we took a stand against the racial discrimination we were facing. We were being spit on, we were being assaulted, and we would report these incidences, of course, to HR, and these were white coworkers doing this to Black coworkers. When we would report it, nothing would happen. They would literally sweep them under the rug. They were literally like, if I say, okay, we're going to do something about it, but never do anything about it at all. So with just that happening, we really didn't know what to do, most individuals in those situations, especially in the workforce, when you're working, to take care of your family and to pay bills, you really don't know what to do except, put your head down and, keep working because you have a family to take care of. But we had to take a stand. It was something that had been going on in that company for far too long. And they ended up putting out a racist satire image that affected us, greatly. It was an image of, and it was during January 2020, which was actually a nod towards Trump campaign. Now that we found out, it was a image of a white man with a red Trump hat in a forklift, driving the end of a forklift into a all black figure. And we reported it to our local NAACP. They felt it was racist, and from there we organized a protest. And our first protest was actually Juneteenth of last year. So that was the birthday of Empire 13, which was, a great birthday. We love that was our original day. And from there, we just championed the cause for racial, social, economic, and environmental social reform. We used the momentum we gained. From there, the media had caught wind of it. They saw what we were going through. They empathized with us and they reported it for us and gave us a voice. And from there, we just started championing the cause, and we knew that it was time for a change. And we didn't want to wait. We knew we could be the change, and we just had to take action for it.
Thank you for sharing that story. The story was horrible, that what they were doing to you all, to you all. I'm glad that you guys made a stand for that. Thank you again, JD, for all the work that you have done. Keep up all the good work that you've been doing, and we're going to be there to support you for sure.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And then now we are going to turn it back over to Georgia. You're on mute still. You're still muted. You're still muted, Georgia.
It looks like Georgia's having some technical difficulties, but that's all right. I'll take over for her. We just want to let you all know, in order to continue doing the work that we are in our revolution, we need your continued support. That's why we're kicking off our 2021 Movement Builder membership drive. So we're asking all of our supporters to become monthly donors in order to continue to grow our organization. And in return, you will receive your very own 2021 Movement Builder membership card designed by artist and Our Revolution member, Lauren Rawling. So tonight we're asking you all to join us in taking the next step to support the progressive movement and donate $10 monthly today. You'll get your very own membership card. I think I got mine in my wallet somewhere. We really need the support of grassroots donors like all of you, just like with the Bernie campaign. We don't take money from corporations or millionaires or billionaires. So we really rely on people like all of you to continue doing the work that we're doing. We also want to let you know about some upcoming calls that we have. You want to be sure to sign up for our weekly Monday night organizing calls. Our special guest next week will be Representative Pramila Jayapal from Washington State. That'll be Monday, June 14th. We also have Senator Jeff Merkley from Oregon and Our Revolution board member Larry Cohen the following week after that, June 21st. So we'll be sure to post that link for you all in the chat. You don't want to miss those calls, folks. And next, I think I'll turn it over to Vance, who will close out the meeting.
You mute there, Vance.
I would do that again, so of course. So thank you, everyone, for all of your support, and thank you for joining tonight's call. A special thanks to all of you all of our volunteers and donors. But before we end this call tonight, let's do our chant. When we organize, we win. Okay, we're gonna all unmute yourselves, and we're gonna ask you all to do it with me. When we organize,
we win.
When we organize,
we win.
When we organize,
we win.
Thank you and good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Solidarity. Thank you, Representative.
Thank you all.
Thank you, JD. Thank you, Alonzo. Thank you, my teammates.